Have you ever been told you're too independent or too quiet? Society often misunderstands seniors who enjoy solitude, but the truth is, your love for alone time is a sign of powerful personality traits that most people don't realize. From deep thinking to emotional independence, these qualities shape a unique and fulfilling way of life. Stick around until the end, because we're diving into 10 distinct traits that reveal the hidden strengths of those who thrive in their own company. You might just discover something surprising about yourself. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. Trait 1. Deep thinkers. Walter rises with the dawn, as he has for decades, slipping into the familiar rhythm of his morning ritual. He settles into his weathered armchair by the window, the cushions molded perfectly to his frame after years of quiet companionship. In his hands, a book lies half open, its pages worn from countless readings, but his gaze drifts elsewhere. He watches the first rays of sunlight spill through the trees, painting the world in soft gold and shadows. To an outsider, it might look like idle daydreaming, a man lost in the haze of early hours. But Walter knows the truth. He's not just staring, he's thinking deeply and deliberately. His mind is alive, wandering through the corridors of memory, piecing together the threads of a life well lived. Some might fill silence with noise, music, chatter, the hum of a screen, but Walter cherishes it. For him, solitude is not a void to escape, it's a canvas for reflection. People who thrive in their own company often carry this remarkable trait. They are deep thinkers. They don't shy away from the quiet, they lean into it, using it as a tool to unravel the mysteries of themselves and the world around them. Where others might see an empty moment, Walter sees an opportunity to ponder the past, to sift through the lessons of seemingly insignificant days, to find meaning in what once felt fleeting. A child's laugh from years ago, a fleeting glance from a stranger, a decision he once regretted. These fragments resurface in his mind, no longer trivial but profound in their quiet significance. In a world that races forward, where people dart from task to task, deep thinkers like Walter choose a slower path. They pause. They breathe. They let their experiences settle, like sediment in a still pond, until clarity emerges. This isn't passivity, it's a deliberate act of awareness. They notice what others overlook, the way the wind carries the scent of rain before a storm, the faint tremor in a loved one's voice that betrays hidden worry, and the subtle shift in their hearts as time marches on. They revisit old memories not with bitterness or longing, but with a gentle curiosity. What did this teach me? How did it shape who I am? This practice isn't just introspection, it's a bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, a way to make peace with what was and to step into what will be with intention. For Walter, these moments of solitude have become a wellspring of wisdom. He's learned to recognize the contours of his soul, what lifts his spirit, what weighs it down, what truly matters when the noise of life fades away. He's discovered that being alone isn't synonymous with loneliness. It's a gateway to self-understanding. In the stillness, he's found not just answers, but a deep, unshakable contentment, a quiet joy that doesn't need an audience to feel real. Contrast this with the modern rush, where so many fear the absence of distraction. Phones glow late into the night, screens flicker with endless streams of information, and silence is drowned out by the clamor of constant connection. Yet those who embrace solitude possess a rare gift. They give their minds room to breathe, to process, to evolve. History whispers of this truth. Thinkers like Thoreau, artists like Van Gogh, and philosophers like Nietzsche all found brilliance in their alone time, their greatest revelations born in the hush of their thoughts. Deep thinking isn't the same as overthinking. It's not a spiral of worry or a trap of regret. It's a liberation, a chance to explore ideas without fear, to ask questions without needing immediate answers, and to see life through a lens of wonder that others rarely pause to polish. Walter's solitude is never dull. His mind hums with activity, revisiting a book's forgotten passage, imagining a conversation that never happened, dreaming of a future yet to unfold. His alone time is a tapestry woven with meaning, each thread a thought carefully considered. If you, like Walter, find yourself drawn to these quiet interludes, if you relish the chance to sit with your thoughts and let them bloom, then you might share this extraordinary trait. Trait 2. Emotionally independent. Walter enjoys the occasional lunch with old friends, the warmth of their laughter stirring memories of younger days. But he doesn't crave a crowd or cling to constant company. He's never been one to chase validation, to measure his worth by the number of voices filling his space. Some might mistake his preference for solitude as a sign of isolation, whispering that he must be lonely behind closed doors. Walter only smiles at the assumption. He knows the reality is far richer. He's perfectly at ease in his skin. This is a defining trait among those who savor their alone time, especially seniors like him: emotional independence. Unlike those who lean on the world to prop up their happiness, endless parties, the applause of others, a steady stream of noise, Walter finds his fulfillment from within. He doesn't need a calendar brimming with plans or a phone buzzing with messages to feel complete. For him, joy isn't a gift bestowed by external hands. It's a flame he tends himself, fueled by self-acceptance and inner calm. He's watched others stumble into the same traps over the years, clinging to fading friendships out of dread, chasing one event after another to outrun the quiet, tethering their contentment to someone else's presence. But Walter has learned a different truth. The ability to stand alone, emotionally unshaken, is a strength few ever master. This independence isn't about cold detachment or a rejection of others. It's about balance. Walter can savor a lively dinner with family or a heartfelt talk with a friend, but he doesn't need those moments to feel whole. His well-being isn't a fragile thing, dangling on the whims of others' attention or approval. He's weathered loneliness, rejection, and the slow drift of old companions, and emerged steady, not because he's immune to feeling, but because he's rooted in himself. Emotional independence means he can spend an evening alone, sipping tea, flipping through a novel, or simply listening to the hum of his thoughts, without a pang of restlessness. It means he can make choices without polling the crowd, trust his instincts without endless reassurance, and find peace in his own company without a hint of despair. Walter's days unfold with a quiet grace: a morning stroll through the park, the crunch of leaves underfoot, an afternoon lost in a symphony on the radio, a night spent journaling thoughts he's never felt compelled to share. These pleasures are his alone, not borrowed from someone else's presence. When he does connect with others, it's a choice, not a crutch, a meeting of equals rather than a plea for completion. That's the gift of emotional independence. Relationships become a joy, not a lifeline. Society doesn't always understand this. To prefer solitude is often misread as withdrawal, a signal of sadness or disconnection. But the emotionally independent know better. Their bonds, with friends, with family, are often the strongest, built on mutual respect rather than necessity. They don't cling out of fear or demand out of emptiness. They engage because they want to, not because they have to. This freedom is intoxicating, knowing that no matter who enters or exits their orbit, they remain enough. It's a confidence that carries them through life's uncertainties, a quiet assurance that their happiness is theirs to cultivate. Walter wouldn't trade this for anything. He's spent years crafting a life that sustains him, a world of his own making that no amount of outside praise could rival. If you, like him, find solace in your presence, if you can sit with yourself and feel not just content, but complete, then you hold one of life's most precious traits. It's a rare and beautiful thing, this ability to be your anchor. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Trait 3. Highly observant. Walter has always had a knack for seeing what others miss. While the world hurries past, caught in the blur of schedules and screens, he lingers on the details. The way the leaves turn from green to amber as autumn creeps in, the faint lines etched around a friend's eyes that whisper of joys and sorrows untold, the fleeting warmth in a cashier's tone when she mentions her child. This isn't just a habit, it's a gift, one shared by many who thrive in solitude, especially seniors like Walter. They are highly observant. Alone time sharpens this skill, offering a stillness that lets them truly see. Free from the chatter of crowds or the pull of distraction, they tune into the world with a clarity others rarely find. Walter doesn't just notice the surface. He digs deeper, sensing the stories beneath. He's learned that observation is more than a passive glance. It's an act of understanding. He can spot the tension in a neighbor's forced smile, the hesitation in a friend's step that hints at unspoken trouble, and the quiet pride in a stranger's voice when they talk about something dear. Over the years, this has made him a master of reading people. not out of judgment, but out of empathy. He knows who lifts his spirit and who dims it, and he chooses his circle with care. This heightened awareness doesn't stop at people. It spills into everything. Walter sees the world in layers. The way shadows dance on his wall at dusk, the rhythm of a bird's song outside his window, and the faint creak of his porch as the seasons shift. Where others might rush by, he pauses to absorb it all, finding beauty in the overlooked. Highly observant people don't just skim life's surface. They dive into its depths, catching the nuances that give it texture. This makes them intuitive, insightful, and often wise beyond what words can capture. What sets this trait apart is how it fuels appreciation. Because Walter notices more, he cherishes more. A sunrise isn't just light, it's a symphony of colors unfolding. The smell of rain isn't just weather, it's a memory of childhood afternoons. The worn armrest of his chair isn't just furniture, it's a silent witness to years of quiet thought. These small wonders don't slip past him. They anchor him, filling his days with a richness that doesn't demand fanfare. He never feels life is racing away because he's always present, drinking it one subtle sip at a time. Being highly observant isn't passive, it's active, intentional. It deepens connections with the people who matter, letting Walter sense when to listen, when to speak, when to simply sit in silence. It sharpens his navigation of the world, guiding him through relationships with a steady hand. And it turns even the most ordinary moments into something extraordinary, a gift he unwraps daily, alone but never lonely. If you've ever caught yourself lingering on the details others breeze past, if you find a quiet thrill in watching the world unfold without needing to announce it, then you might share this remarkable trait. It's a quiet power, one worth celebrating. Trait 4. Selective with relationships. Walter has never been the sort of person who thrives on an expansive network of social ties or feels compelled to surround himself with a bustling crowd. Over the decades, through moments of reflection and lived experience, he's come to a profound realization. When it comes to relationships, quality far outweighs quantity in every meaningful way. While some people seem to amass acquaintances like collectors gathering trinkets, flitting from one social circle to another, always chasing the next casual connection, Walter has chosen a different path. He has carefully nurtured a small, precious handful of deep, enduring friendships, bonds forged in trust and tested by time. This deliberate selectivity isn't just a preference. It's a cornerstone of his character, a defining trait often observed among seniors who cherish their solitude and guard their inner peace. For Walter and others like him, this selectivity stems from a hard-earned understanding. Not every relationship deserves a place in your life, and personal energy is a finite resource far too valuable to squander on fleeting, superficial, or emotionally taxing interactions. Rather than juggling a roster of dozens of loosely tied acquaintances, he pours his time, attention, and heart into the few connections that truly resonate. Relationships rooted in mutual respect, unwavering trust, and a profound, unspoken understanding. He recalls a younger version of himself, a man who once felt the societal tug to be more outgoing, to accept every invitation that came his way, to cling to connections that offered little beyond polite small talk or obligation. Back then, he occasionally bent to the pressure to prove his sociability, to show the world he could keep up. But with age came clarity, and he arrived at a liberating truth. He owes no one an explanation for how he chooses to live or who he chooses to let in. He'd rather sit across from one or two genuine friends who truly see him than share a room with 100 people who only know his name. The brilliance of this selective approach lies in the richness it brings to life. When you're not stretching yourself thin across a web of shallow ties, you unlock a deeper capacity to invest in the people who matter most. Those who lift you, who honor your boundaries, and who care about you authentically, not just conveniently. These are the friendships that don't falter under the weight of distance or silence, the ones that endure not because of proximity or habit, but because of a shared, unshakable bond. Walter's life reflects this philosophy perfectly. A weekly phone call with a former colleague whose laughter still feels like home, a rare but cherished coffee date with a friend who knows his quirks as well as his dreams. These quiet, intentional moments hold more weight for him than any crowded gathering ever could because they're built on substance, not noise. This trait also carries a protective edge. Those who relish solitude and choose their relationships with care have little patience for toxicity. They've honed the ability to spot and distance themselves from negativity, gossip, or lopsided dynamics that sap their joy. Life, they know, is too brief and too precious to waste on people who dim your light rather than kindle it. Walter has walked away from more than one draining acquaintance without a backward glance, choosing instead to nurture the handful of relationships that bring him peace, spark happiness, and flow naturally without pretense or strain. He's not chasing numbers, he's cultivating meaning. And in that choice lies a quiet power, the confidence to prioritize his well-being and the wisdom to recognize that true companionship isn't measured by the size of your circle but by the depth of the connections within it. If you find yourself nodding along, if you, too, prefer the intimacy of a soul-bearing conversation with a single trusted confidant over the clamor of a party packed with fleeting chatter, then you likely carry this trait as well. It's a mark of emotional maturity, a testament to self-respect, and a reflection of a life lived intentionally. Walter's story reminds us that being selective isn't about isolation. It's about curation, building a small, sturdy sanctuary of relationships that sustain you rather than scatter you. And yet, as compelling as this trait is, it's only part of the picture. The next trait on this list elevates this portrait of solitude-loving seniors into something even more striking, something that might catch you off guard with its originality. Stay with me, this one's worth the wait. Trait 5. Strong sense of identity. Walter has never been one to chase the latest fad or bend over backward to win someone's approval. You won't catch him splurging on a shiny new gadget just because it's the talk of the town, nor will you find him dragging himself to gatherings that hold no appeal, or tweaking his views to blend into the crowd. That's because Walter possesses something increasingly rare in a world obsessed with trends and validation: a rock-solid sense of identity. He knows precisely who he is, his likes, his dislikes, his values, his passions, and he's utterly at ease with it all. He doesn't rely on the applause of others to feel whole. This self-assurance, this clarity of self, is one of the most profound gifts that solitude bestows. The uninterrupted space to listen to your voice, to peel back the layers of expectation, and to discover who you are when the world isn't watching. For many, life is a tug-of-war between external pressures, family demands, cultural norms, the relentless churn of what's in, and their quiet instincts. But those who embrace solitude, like Walter, learn to tune out the noise and turn inward instead. They carve out time to reflect, to sift through their thoughts, to pursue what genuinely stirs their soul rather than what's dictated by the crowd. Walter can still recall his younger days when the weight of others' opinions pressed heavily on him. He worried about measuring up, saying the right thing, wearing the right clothes, keeping pace with everyone else's milestones. But as the years rolled on and he leaned into his alone time, a shift occurred. He began to ask himself, whose life am I living? The answer became clear: his own. And with that realization came a freedom he hadn't known he was missing. The freedom to approve of himself, to set his compass, to let go of the need to perform. This strong sense of identity manifests in beautifully simple ways. People like Walter don't dress to impress, they dress to feel good. They don't pick hobbies to flaunt on social media. They choose what lights them up inside, whether it's tinkering in a workshop, losing themselves in a novel, or tending to a garden that no one else will ever see. They speak their minds with quiet conviction, even when their perspective diverges from the mainstream, because their beliefs are forged from experience, not borrowed to fit in. What makes this trait so extraordinary is the peace it delivers, a deep, steady calm that settles in when you stop running after acceptance. Life simplifies. The exhausting game of people-pleasing fades away, replaced by a focus on what genuinely fulfills you, what aligns with your truest self. Walter's days unfold on his terms. He plays the music that moves him, even if it's decades out of fashion. He spends his hours immersed in pursuits that bring him contentment, perhaps a morning pruning roses, an afternoon with a dog-eared book, or an evening savoring the stillness of his own company. He doesn't feel compelled to justify his choices to anyone, and that's the crux of it. He's at home in his skin, flaws and all. If you've reached a similar place, where you no longer feel the itch to prove your worth, where you embrace your quirks and stand tall in your individuality, then you too wield this powerful trait. It's a quiet triumph, a declaration of self that doesn't need a megaphone. But here's the twist. The next trait on this list takes this self-possession somewhere unexpected, revealing a layer of character that even the most introspective might not anticipate. It's a quality that redefines what it means to thrive in solitude, and it's bound to surprise you. Have you ever paused to consider when you first felt truly comfortable being yourself? What's one part of your identity? Maybe a quiet passion or an unapologetic quirk that you've grown to cherish over time. Stick around. This journey's about to get even more intriguing. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment non-number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Trait 6. High levels of creativity. Walter never thought of himself as an artist in the traditional sense. No easel, no paint-splattered smock, no grand gallery exhibitions. Yet, over the years, he discovered a deep well of creativity that bubbled up in unexpected ways, quietly transforming his days. On sun-dappled afternoons, he could be found in his backyard, tending to his garden with the care of a sculptor shaping clay. He'd arrange vibrant marigolds, delicate lavender, and bold zinnias into patterns that seemed to dance together, turning his flower beds into living masterpieces. On rainy days, when the world outside grew still, he'd settle at his worn wooden desk, a steaming mug of tea in hand, and let his pen wander across the pages of a notebook. He scribbled stories from his past, vignettes of childhood adventures, reflections on lost friends, fleeting moments he wanted to hold on to, not for an audience, but for the sheer pleasure of creation. For Walter and many seniors who cherished their solitude, creativity became a companion, a quiet joy that flourished in the absence of noise and distraction. This trait is common among those who enjoy their own company. Without the constant hum of a busy social life, endless phone calls, crowded gatherings, or the pressure to keep up appearances, their minds gain a rare freedom. It's as if solitude sweeps away the clutter, leaving space for the imagination to stretch its wings. They might pick up a paintbrush and lose themselves in strokes of color, carve intricate designs into a piece of wood, strum a melody on an old guitar, or experiment with a new recipe that fills the kitchen with warmth and aroma. Creativity, they discover, isn't confined to the realm of art as the world defines it. It's a way of seeing, a lens that transforms the mundane into the extraordinary. A walk in the woods becomes a story waiting to be told. A cracked teapot becomes the inspiration for a whimsical repair. A quiet evening becomes a canvas for dreaming. Walter's creative journey began modestly. Years ago, he started keeping a journal, intending only to untangle the thoughts that swirled in his mind. At first, the entries were simple. Observations about the weather, a list of chores, a memory jogged by the scent of rain. But over time, something shifted. He found himself writing letters to the younger Walter, the one who'd stumbled through life's uncertainties, offering advice and forgiveness across the decades. Then came the short stories, a tale about the grizzled fisherman he'd met at the docks in '72, another about the mysterious woman who'd left a single rose on a park bench every Tuesday. There was no publisher waiting, no audience clamoring for his words, just Walter, his pen, and the quiet thrill of bringing something new into existence. That, he realized, was enough. History is rich with examples of solitary souls whose creativity thrived in stillness. Albert Einstein retreated to his thoughts, unraveling the universe's secrets in the silence of his mind. Georgia O'Keeffe sought the vast emptiness of the desert, painting flowers and bones with a vision that was hers alone. Henry David Thoreau withdrew to Walden Pond, weaving philosophy and nature into words that still echo today. These figures didn't just tolerate solitude, they embraced it as a crucible for inspiration. Alone, they could sift through ideas, wrestle with questions, and craft something enduring. But creativity isn't only about grand works. It's also in the small, everyday acts. The way a solitary person might devise a clever fix for a leaky faucet, invent a game to play with a grandchild over video calls, or rearrange a room to capture the morning light just so. For them, creativity is as much about solving problems as it is about self-expression. Walter has come to see creativity as a lifelong gift, one that doesn't dim with age but deepens when given room to grow. There's no rulebook, no judge, no deadline, just the freedom to explore. Whether he's sketching a bird he spotted at the feeder, knitting a scarf in bold, clashing colors, or simply daydreaming about a world where time moves backward, every act is a quiet rebellion against the ordinary. And that's the beauty of it. Creativity belongs to everyone who dares to claim it. If you find yourself drawn to these pursuits, if you relish the hours spent lost in a novel, doodling in the margins of a grocery list, or imagining a different path your life could have taken, then you, too, carry this remarkable trait. It's not about perfection. It's about the joy of making something, anything, that's uniquely yours. Trait 7. Dislike for small talk. Walter has never had much patience for shallow chit-chat. The weather? He's heard it discussed a dozen times this week. Sunny, cloudy, rainy, repeat. Celebrity gossip? He couldn't care less who wore what or dated whom. For him, conversations should have weight, a pulse, and purpose. He longs for exchanges that dig beneath the surface. Stories of life's triumphs and stumbles, dreams whispered in confidence, lessons carved from years of living. This aversion to small talk is a hallmark of those who thrive in solitude. They don't dread silence, they welcome it, and they see no need to drown every quiet moment in a flood of meaningless words. When they speak, they want it to matter, a genuine sharing of ideas, not a script of polite noise. This preference often reveals itself in subtle ways. At a family reunion, while others buzzed about football scores, the neighbor's new SUV, or the latest reality TV drama, Walter stood on the sidelines, nodding occasionally but inwardly restless. He wasn't bored by the people, he loved them dearly, but by the topics that skimmed the surface like stones on a pond, never sinking deep. Then, later that evening, his niece pulled him aside. At 52, she was wrestling with the idea of leaving a steady job to chase a passion she'd buried for decades. They talked for hours, about fear, reinvention, the ache of unfulfilled potential, and Walter felt alive. That was the kind of conversation he craved. Raw, real, threaded with vulnerability and meaning. People who savor solitude often carry vibrant inner worlds, built from hours of reflection and introspection. They've mulled over life's big questions. Why we're here, what matters most, how the past shapes the present, and they hunger for discussions that mirror that depth. A debate about ethics, a memory that shaped who they are, a theory about the stars. They'd trade 100 trivial exchanges for one that stirs their mind or touches their heart. This doesn't mean they're aloof or unfriendly. They're simply selective, guarding their energy for what feels worthwhile. To outsiders, they might seem reserved, even distant, but that's a misunderstanding. They're not avoiding connection, they're seeking it, just not in the shallow end of the pool. Here's a fascinating upside. This trait often makes them exceptional listeners. Free from the urge to chatter for chatter's sake, they tune in with a rare intensity. When someone shares something significant, a worry, a hope, a quiet triumph, they catch the nuances, remember the details, and respond with a thoughtfulness that lingers. Walter has learned to excuse himself from conversations that feel hollow, and he's at peace with that choice. He knows true bonds aren't forged in the quicksand of small talk, but in the solid ground of shared truth and understanding. When he meets a kindred spirit, someone who also craves depth, it's like striking gold. Those connections, though rare, are the ones that endure. So, if small talk leaves you weary, if you'd rather discuss the meaning of life than the forecast, you're in good company. It's not about shunning people. It's about honoring your time and seeking what feeds your soul. Tell me, do you lean toward deep conversations over surface-level chatter? What's a topic that could keep you talking late into the night? Drop your thoughts below. And here's a teaser. The next trait on this list might surprise you. It's a hidden strength that solitary souls wield in ways most never notice. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 3 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Trait 8. Greater resilience. Walter's life has been far from easy. Over the years, he's weathered storms that might have shattered others. Profound losses, unexpected upheavals, and moments of darkness that tested his spirit. He's mourned the passing of loved ones, adapted to seismic shifts like retirement, and faced personal struggles that once seemed insurmountable. Yet, through every trial, Walter has emerged stronger, not because he's immune to pain, but because he's learned to tap into a well of inner fortitude. He doesn't shy away from life's challenges or lean on others to carry him through. Instead, he confronts them head-on, trusting in his ability to endure and overcome. This unshakable resilience is a hallmark of those who thrive in solitude, a trait forged in the quiet moments when no one else is around to offer comfort or solutions. Spending time alone has a way of teaching you how to stand on your own 2 feet. When you grow accustomed to your own company, you stop looking to others to fix your problems or prop you up during tough times. You become your anchor, learning to sift through your emotions, wrestle with your thoughts, and chart a path forward without needing a chorus of voices to validate your every step. For Walter, this lesson crystallized years ago when he lost his wife, the person who had been his partner through decades of life's highs and lows. The grief was overwhelming, a jagged wound that left him feeling untethered. In those early days, the silence of his home felt oppressive, the solitude a cruel reminder of what he'd lost. But rather than drowning out the pain with distractions or clinging to others for relief, Walter chose to face it. He sat with his sorrow, let the tears come, and allowed himself to feel the full weight of his loss. Over time, something shifted. He began to find solace in the quiet rituals of his days, brewing his morning coffee, tending to his small garden, and taking slow walks around the block. He discovered that he could navigate the ache of loneliness without losing himself in it. That process taught him a profound truth. Resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about piecing yourself back together, one deliberate step at a time. It's about realizing that you possess the tools within you to weather any storm, even when the skies feel relentlessly gray. For people who embrace solitude, this becomes second nature. They develop a deep trust in their capacity to cope, a confidence that no matter what life hurls their way, be it heartbreak, failure, or uncertainty, they'll find a way to keep going. But resilience isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of perseverance. Walter still feels the sting of hard days, moments when the past creeps in or the future feels daunting, but he knows those moments don't define him. He's learned that challenges are fleeting, that they're merely chapters in a longer story of growth and survival. This perspective has turned his independence into a badge of honor. He cherishes the support of friends and family when it's there, but he doesn't crave constant reassurance to feel steady. He relies on the wisdom he's gathered from his own experiences, the lessons etched into his bones through years of facing life's unpredictability. If you've ever walked through your valleys and come out the other side, you know this strength too. Maybe it was a job loss that forced you to reinvent yourself, a betrayal that taught you to trust your judgment, or a quiet night when you wrestled with doubt and found clarity by morning. Trait 9. Love for routine. Every morning, Walter's day begins the same way. The alarm hums softly at 6:30 a.m., and he rises to the familiar scent of brewing coffee wafting through his kitchen. He carries his mug to the window overlooking his backyard, where he watches the first rays of sunlight spill across the grass. Later, he laces up his worn sneakers for a walk through the neighborhood, nodding to the same dog walkers and joggers he's come to recognize. In the evening, he settles into his armchair with a well-loved book or lets the soothing strains of Beethoven fill the room, a ritual that ushers in a sense of calm as the day winds down. To some, this might sound monotonous, but to Walter, it's anything but. Routine isn't a cage for him, it's a sanctuary, a rhythm that brings order and joy to his life. And he's not alone in this. People who cherish solitude often find a deep, abiding comfort in the predictability of their days. While the world often celebrates chaos, spontaneity, and endless novelty, those who enjoy their own company see the beauty in consistency. Routine isn't about rigidity or boredom. It's about crafting a life that feels steady and meaningful, a framework that holds space for peace amid the unpredictability of the world. Studies back this up. Psychologists have found that regular habits can lower stress levels, boost mental clarity, and foster a sense of agency over one's life. For older adults like Walter, this is especially powerful. A reliable routine can anchor the day, warding off the drift that sometimes comes with retirement or empty nests, while also sharpening focus and easing the body into restful sleep. Walter learned this the hard way. When he first retired, the sudden absence of a 9-to-5 schedule left him adrift. Days blurred together, and without the structure of work, he felt unmoored, unsure of how to fill the hours. But little by little, he began to build a rhythm that worked for him. His morning coffee became a sacred start, his afternoon walks a chance to breathe and reflect, and his evenings a gentle close to the day. These weren't just habits, they were lifelines, small acts of intention that turned aimlessness into purpose. For people who savor solitude, routines like these are more than practical. They're a form of self-care, a way to honor the quiet moments that make life rich. They don't race through their days chasing the next big thing. Instead, they pause to notice the details, the way the light filters through the trees, the familiar creak of a favorite chair, and the taste of a meal prepared with care. Here's the twist. Loving routine doesn't mean locking yourself into a dull, unchanging loop. It's not about resisting all spontaneity or shunning adventure. Walter still mixes things up. Some days he'll detour to a new park or swap his book for a documentary. But his core rhythm remains, a steady pulse that keeps him grounded. It's a balance of stability and flexibility, a structure that soothes without stifling. That's the magic of it. Routine becomes a canvas, not a script. It's a foundation that lets you face life's curveballs with confidence, knowing you've got a safe harbor to return to. For those who enjoy solitude, this trait is a gift, a way to move through the world with mindfulness and grace. What about you? Do you have a daily ritual that steadies your soul? Maybe it's a cup of tea at dusk, a morning stretch, or a song you play to unwind. What's one habit you'd never give up? Share it in the comments. I'm curious to know what keeps you centered. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment on number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Trait 10. Inner peace. As the sun dips below the horizon, Walter steps onto his porch, settling into a weathered rocking chair. The sky shifts from gold to deep violet, and the only sounds are the rustle of leaves and the distant chirp of crickets. There's no chatter, no clamor, just the gentle hum of existence. In this stillness, Walter doesn't feel isolated, he feels whole. After years of living life on his terms, he's unearthed something rare, something many chases but few truly grasp: inner peace. It's a quiet triumph, a state of being that defines those who flourish in solitude. They don't need a packed social calendar, endless noise, or a steady stream of applause to feel complete. Their happiness flows from within, a steady current that doesn't waver with the whims of the world. In a culture obsessed with hustle, connection, and constant stimulation, finding contentment in solitude is almost revolutionary. It's a defiance of the unspoken rule that alone time is something to fear or feel. For Walter, this shift didn't happen overnight. There was a time when he equated fulfillment with more friends to call, more plans to make, more distractions to chase. But as the years unfolded, he began to see that true joy wasn't about cramming his life with activity. It was about stripping away the excess and finding comfort in what remained. Inner peace, he realized, comes from knowing yourself so deeply that you don't need the world to tell you who you are or how you should feel. It's the ability to sit in silence and feel not emptiness, but fullness. People with this trait don't just tolerate being alone, they revel in it. They wake up with a quiet sense of purpose, savor the small joys of their routines, and let go of the restlessness that drives others to seek constant validation. They form relationships not out of desperation or dread of solitude, but because those connections genuinely enrich their lives. Walter still enjoys a good conversation or a visit from his grandkids, but he doesn't rely on those moments to feel grounded. His peace is his own, cultivated through years of embracing the quiet, releasing petty worries, and focusing on what truly matters to him. This isn't to say his life is flawless. There are still days when shadows creep in, memories that ache, uncertainties that nag. But even in those moments, Walter remains anchored. He's learned that peace isn't the absence of hardship, it's the strength to move through it without losing your center. And the best part? This trait isn't reserved for a lucky few. It's something anyone can nurture. It starts with small steps, a moment of stillness, a deep breath, a choice to let go of what you can't control. Over time, those steps build a foundation of calm that carries you through life's chaos. So, if these traits resonate with you, if you've nodded along, picturing your quiet victories, you're not alone. It means you've shaped a life that fits you, one where solitude isn't a burden but a blessing. You've found a way to be comfortable in your skin, to draw strength from within, and to steer your course. That's no small feat. And there you have it. 10 remarkable traits that show how seniors who enjoy solitude aren't just surviving, they're thriving with wisdom, resilience, and inner peace. What have you learned so far from Walter's story and these powerful qualities? We'd love to hear from you. Comment below with one thing you've learned today that you'll bring into practice in your own life. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insights like this.